I'd like to give you an overview of the current legal development and also on the latest investment trends from the lawyer's perspective. Before I start, please allow me a few sentences on LUPP & Partner. We are quite a young firm. We are a boutique law firm based in Munich, and our focus is on M&A transactions, IPT, and of course real estate. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. What is currently happening in Germany from the regulatory perspective? One big advantage of Germany is, I think, is that the legal system is quite stable. So you don't be surprised. We always set out in the code, so we actually have a legal system and you can rely on it. And but a few things are currently being discussed, and what is really interesting and is really being promoted and in the interest of the real estate industry by the German Property Federation are the few things I set out here, and it's mostly a result of global developments like the refugee crisis. As a result of the refugee crisis, there is quite a substantial need for additional housings. I think according to a study of the German Property Federation, at least 78,000 additional apartments will be needed per year until 2020, in addition to the already existing demands. So there's really a need for additional residential areas. But the focus here is obviously it's not only creating luxury residential areas, but to create affordable living space. And so the focus is here: how can the incentives here given to the market, to the real estate industry, to promote these investments. And the things under discussion here are particularly simplifying the building permit procedure, and also lowering the risks for energy saving requirements. And also and it's more, the focus is also on the long administrative procedure. So all these codes shall be on administrative regulations shall be adjusted in the next months, I think. And what is also another incentive here is the depreciation of construction costs for residential developments. So up to 30% of the acquisition or construction costs for affordable housings, so where the costs would not exceed 3,000 euros per square meter, can be actually deducted for a period of 3 years. So this is, I think, one incentive, which is where the feedback is quite positive. The criticism here right now is that this incentive is only linked to the building permit, and so this puts the result is that some ongoing residential developments are on hold right now, and people are considering some changes on the construction side to hand in a new building permit application to be entitled to those benefits. And another change is the new standard for accounting of lease agreements in accordance with the IFRS standards, and there has been a quite change in relation to the definition of leasing agreement. And lease agreements are actually now being regarded as leasing agreements, and this has a consequence that tenants need to put down their rental payments, the figures for their rental payments, in their accounting sheets, and which is kind of new. And from an investment perspective, the risk here is that many tenants will start to renegotiate their rent and will stop agreeing on long-term agreements, will ask for lower terms in their agreements. And of course, I think what really focuses in Germany on restrictions on energy savings and the promotion of renewable energy sources. And this is already being quite popular in Germany for many years now, and it has become even more popular and on the agenda since the climate change conference last year in Paris. And currently the federal government is implementing a climate action plan with the goal of complete carbon-free energy sources in the building sector by 2050. And the last one, which kind of surprised me, is because when you deal with international investors, they often ask you regard what the situation is in relation to indoor radon levels. So you have strict thresholds in the UK and also the US, but not in Germany. But as a radioactive concentration which comes from the ground and might cause some really health issues. It's even worse than asbestos. And
and it comes
from the ground, yeah, it's a natural gas coming out. So in Wuppertal, or and you have some
lucky that
but Wuppertal is actually a role model in the carbon prevention initiatives. So they, and I think what really surprised me when I first came across this issue is that easy things might help to reduce the radon concentration within work and living spaces. You just need to have a proper ventilation system. Maybe you change the door to the basement. So you can do a lot of things to lower this risk, which might arise here. And in fact, even when you have a high radon concentration, this constitutes a defect of the premises according to German statutory law. But this is not really being enforced by the courts, but this will change in the future. When you invest, develop, or buy a property, you should maybe also focus on this one here, because it's quite likely that mandatory thresholds will be introduced in the near future. And when you carry out your energy related refurbishments, as a result, it might happen that the radon levels increase in the property. So you need to make sure that you maybe also have a proper ventilation system which comes along with it. The latest investment trends from a lawyer's perspective in the last couple of years is obviously we spent a lot of time advising on transaction in retail and office buildings, but also spent quite some time on logistics transactions over the last years. And what I'm really interesting here is when particularly you look at logistics in Germany from outside Germany, but people don't really are aware of the system of hereditary building right agreement, where the property, the ground, is owned by one person, but not the building on top of it. And many properties that are really interesting for logistic developments are owned by public or semi-public entities, where we're not really keen to have an international investor acquiring the HBR agreement. So, and we experienced some funny, from a lawyer's perspective, quite some funny cases in the last couple of years here. It was the whole deal was set up and all parties agreed, but when it came to financing, which was after closing, it was quite hard for many freeholders, for many investors to get the support of the freeholders to agree to the registration of land charges and to other things which were required under the financing agreements. So you don't have a claim towards the property owners here. You just need to find an agreement with them, which can be really time-consuming and expensive in the end. So it took us 1.5 years finally to get all the conditions, to fulfill all the conditions under a loan agreement, which is kind of ridiculous when you look at an international portfolio and there's one stubborn freeholder based in a small city in Germany. And also, people becoming more flexible. So what we experienced in the last years was that there's an increased focus on self-storage. In the beginning, I couldn't believe it, but it is really that people are looking for storage space. And from an investment perspective, it's quite interesting because you can ask for higher rents, up to 20 euros per square meter. The downside is, on the other hand, it's only short-term lease agreements, but this is something I think which will become more popular in the next years. Also, student housing is still an issue, although it's not really interesting for German students, I think, because Germans just rent a regular flat together with their friends or contact the semi-public organizations who help them to find flats and to organize this. But student housing is a big issue for international students in Germany, and Germany is still an attractive place, or it's becoming even more attractive for foreign students because of the low fees for the universities, and also the harmonization of the different courses at the university. Light industrial, also an asset class, I think, where we thought a couple of years ago, so no one wants it. So it's been under discussion for quite some time, but it's now, I think it's also, there are still some properties there, some good opportunities to go further and to actually invest in this asset class. What important here is, I think, that the areas are constructed in a way that they are open for different tenants to provide the interactions between the different tenants, that you have communication areas and that you would target maybe one branch of different tenants and to create your own kind of district there. And last but not least, green buildings, sustainability real estate solutions are becoming even more popular, have become more popular in the last year, and I think this will continue the next years. Yesterday, I think the market report of Jones Lang LaSalle has been published and confirmed also what we experienced, that the number of green building certificates has increased over the last year, and that there is a tendency that more green building certificates for building will be requested and will be applied for in the next years as well. And the change here is that it's not only new developments and some core properties are interesting for sustainability standards, but also the focus is on existing buildings to improve the quality there and to provide a better service for the tenants, to instruct a property manager who can provide high quality services and by doing so increase actually the value of the property. In the last years, we started developing some standards here. 2 years ago, we started with Cushman & Wakefield, with BREEAM in Germany, and developed a certification scheme for property management services. And then the VISAC followed because the facility management needs to fit in there as well. And last year, we were quite happy together with Union Investment and Generali. We developed a new standard for green lease agreements, with also a certification scheme for the user landlord relationship and some model clauses. And we were quite lucky that 26 market participants decided in the end to promote this concept and to introduce the clauses and to implement the clauses into their standard lease agreements. And the focus is here. So many people are thinking, oh, this will cost more. We have to negotiate more provisions when we are negotiating a lease agreement. But in the end, it turned out that this can provide a real benefit because the user, the tenant, is really grateful for the additional service. Lower operating costs is just one example, and then what really is important is the ongoing communication between landlord and tenant, which is of benefit here. And of course, this has already been done with some international companies as tenants who have a strong focus on sustainability as well. But the task here was, or our goal was, to also reach small tenants who need to be informed about things in relation to energy saving, use of environmentally friendly products, and to give them some advice and to have them and to involve them, and so to reach even the dentists who were kind of stubborn. It was a funny thing that so in the working group we set up, so this came out of that, okay, if we can make it work for the dentist, then we have achieved everything. So, and what I understand from the other members is that the dentists are really happy with the system and also are willing to increase, to stay longer in the premises. Maybe another example here is it's more that customer service under the name sustainability can really work. We advised an institutional investor on the sale of its European core commercial mixed-use portfolio. And we carried out the DD, and we were really surprised when we put together the results. For Germany, it was it was really amazing, the results compared to other European countries. That there was no legal dispute with the tenant, no vacant areas at all. So with over 200 different tenants, this investor managed to have a good relationship. And as a result, the German portfolio was in a much better condition than the portfolios in other European countries. And then we looked closer and we detected that, okay, he agreed on had actually implemented a sustainability strategy in Germany, had introduced green lease clauses. So this might be of benefit, and now it's being rolled in other European countries as well.